Hello everyone, my name is Lars and welcome to my very first video tutorial. First of all, let me introduce my palette. The first color is Model Colored Light Flesh, which is a tip I got from Skull Studio that I also recommend for any gold metallic metal painters. Model Color Flat Brown. I'm also using any regular white. You can use whichever brand you want. I'm using Citadel right here, as you can see. I'm using Model Air Black, which is a really good color. I'm using Model Air French Blue, which is another name for ultramarine blue, and Model Color Gold Brown, which is also a really good color. Also using Black, Derucci Violet, and Seraphim Sepia washes. Okay, let's begin. I am using a Winsor Newton Series 7, size 1, in the beginning to lay down the first thin layer of a muted brown. This muted brown is a mix of flat brown, black, French blue, and a touch of gold brown. Don't worry about getting the paint onto the inner part of the shoulder pad. You'll be covering that up later. It is also very important to get the first layer underneath the shoulder pad as well. The second step is to add a little bit of gold brown and flat brown into the mix that you already have on your palette. I am doing this to prevent the transitions from becoming too sharp. It also adds saturation to the brown, which will help to support the colors we will paint later on. I am laying down the second brown by using a fan technique with my brush. This technique helps to control how far down the shoulder pad rim I want to go. With this second brown, I'm also hitting the rim that is closest to the inner parts of the shoulder pad. I also lay down the second brown imagining a crossover the direction from where I started. The reason why is because when painting a 360-degree non-metallic metal object, such as a miniature, you want the light to hit from 4 different angles, creating a spot every 90 degrees. This is something that I learned by studying other miniature artists such as Painting Buddha and Riccardo Frizzoni. For the third brown, I'm beginning to remove the colors from the first mixture. The reason why is because it has blue in it, which when mixing with gold brown will create a green, and this is something we don't want for this style of gold. I'm applying the paint with the exact same manner as before, but leaving just a little bit of the second brown. By doing so, we will create a nice and smooth transition as we continue. As an army painter, I completely understand the urge to get your models done and onto the table. However, I cannot stress enough how important it is to make these transitions slow by not mixing each brown with too much contrast in between them. If you do, you won't get the same smooth transitional sheen to the gold. Edge lining is a technique you've most likely seen many other painters use, probably because it's a fantastic technique to have in your arsenal. You'll get the edges of the shoulder pads done nice and thin, while also getting them done very quickly. However, I only recommend using them when you have a lot of negative space around the edge, because if you mess up later on, there'll be a lot of steps to backtrack to get those touch-ups done correctly. Make sure you apply each brown to all the rims and all those tiny knobs. For the fourth brown, I am separating the mixing completely from the previous browns. I only want the flat brown mixed with the gold brown at this point. I'm going to mix my colors in a spiral so that I can see how the colors evolve with each mixture. I can also more easily backtrack if I need to. I'm applying the fourth brown in the same manner as the other browns. The brighter the brown becomes, the shorter its transitions should be. I'm also making sure I hit all those tiny knobs again. It is very important that even if the knobs will eventually be almost all light flesh color, they still need the support of the previous browns to look shiny. Alright, so as you can see, we are beginning to see some buildup of the browns right now. The first brown we applied is now looking darker than it did before, and it is because it is now surrounded by enough brightness to change the initial perception we had of the color. For the 5th, 6th, and 7th brown, I'm simply adding little bits of gold brown into the mix I already have until I have close to or actually pure gold brown. I'm applying these browns in the same manner as before, using the fanning technique. I'm making sure I hit all the rims, edges, and knobs. Now, we have enough contrast on the brown to have a shiny shoulder plate. And if you want to, you can actually stop right here. However, if you want to take it a little bit further, this is where you begin to mix in a light flesh color with the pure gold brown. The light flesh color is very, very dominant, so a tiny bit goes a long way. And even if I say that the transitions now need to be faster, you still need some build up here as well. For the ninth brown, which perhaps at this point should be called a yellow, anyways, I'm simply mixing in some more light flesh. We are really going to start getting close to a pure light flesh, which next to the other colors will look almost pure white. Now, we apply the pure light flesh color to really give the gold that knockout punch. You don't need to have this color on all spots of the gold, but just those edges, corners closest to where the light source hit. It is now time for a sepia wash. I apply this wash thinly and without any pooling. You want to use this wash as a glaze rather than an actual wash. I like the sepia glaze because it adds a little bit of saturation and a little more richness to the gold. I tried doing both and compared the two, and I came to like the sepia wash better. It is a completely subjective decision, so you can choose to opt out of the sepia wash if you want. It is totally up to you. I then reapply the pure light flesh again to bring back those sharp highlights. I'm adding on a focused glaze of juicy violet. Purple, which is very close to violet on the color wheel, is complementary of yellow, which is very close to the gold brown we use. The purple will then help to emphasize the richness of the yellow and also help to add contrast and depth to the gold. Lastly, which is completely optional again, is to add just a little bit of null oil to the areas we apply juicy violet to. I also apply it around the knobs to help separate their shape and emphasize their form. Again, don't pull the wash around the knobs. If it's not enough, let it dry and apply another thin coat. Okay guys, this is how I do my gold non-metallic metal. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this helped you out with your gold project. If you want to see more of these videos, press subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment. I do this on my spare time, so unless there are enough of you that want to see more tutorials like this, it will not be my priorities. So please let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and happy painting.